Hey folks, Simon here with another Raw Short. This time I'm talking all about protein and why I've changed my mind a little bit about how much we need to be eating. So let's get into it. Now don't get me wrong, I'm still a big advocate of eating enough protein to make sure that we're recovering from our training and making sure we're holding on to our lean muscle mass, especially as we get older. But do we really need to be eating as much as 1.8 grams to 2 grams to even 2.2 grams of protein per kg of body weight on a day-to-day basis? The thing is, this is quite a nuanced situation or a subject to talk about. So let's go back to the start from what my understanding is right now. Is from a protein intake, I think we should be hitting between 1.2 and 1.6 grams of protein per kg of body weight spread evenly across the day. Now, I used to think that we needed to eat more, and the thing is we can eat more, especially if we have more calories to play with because we've done a lot of training over a day. But to make sure we're getting enough and what is adequate, I think 1.2 grams to 1.6 grams per kg of body weight is plenty enough to be able to make sure we're recovering from our training and also keeping on and holding on to our lean muscle mass. Let me explain my thinking on this, because if you eat protein on its own and don't do any training, you're not going to lay down lean muscle mass and you're definitely not going to get any fitter. So the real focus is what you do in training. So hitting the gym and doing cardiovascular training. So as cyclists, we need to be doing both, especially as we get older, because as I've talked about many times in the other videos that I've put together, is that training is important, especially as we get older, because we lose muscle mass. And it's very easy for us as we start to hit 40, 50 and 60 to drop out on our VO2 lactate threshold. And we need to be focusing on these kind of training sessions to hold on to it for as long as possible, especially if we want to ride our bikes harder and faster and put in some decent times in sportives. But this is where my mindset has changed. You don't need to be eating as much as 1.8 to 2 grams per kg of body weight if you are training hard. Yes, you can eat more. And especially if you're doing a lot of training, so you have a lot more calories to put back into your diet over a day, you can eat more protein. It's not going to harm you for sure. But if you're hitting 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kg of body weight, then you're probably adequately eating enough protein with the focus of making sure you're eating it evenly spread across the day. So between 3 and 4 meals is probably the right way to be eating, to make sure you're getting enough amino acids within your diet to help you maintain and produce more lean muscle mass from your training. The quality of your protein is something that you really need to focus on. So making sure you've got as much of the broad range spectrum of proteins within each meal is important. But actually, the more that I read up on this, as we get older, the thing that's really going to trigger maximal muscle protein synthesis response is making sure we're getting between 3 and 5 grams of leucine within our protein feeding at each meal. Now that's pretty easy for us to do if we're carnivore, especially if we're eating meat within most of our meals. But if you're vegan or vegetarian, it's slightly tougher, but it's not impossible. Lentils, beans, nuts, seeds, tofu, things of that nature are really important to have as a variety in your diet, in your meals, especially if you're vegan and vegetarian. They'll make sure you're getting enough of the leucine that I'm talking about. And this is the thing, vegans and vegetarians can get enough protein. They just need to be thinking about it in a way that they're making sure they're getting enough of the broad spectrum. And it would be prudent, I would suggest, for vegans and vegetarians to have a bit more protein in their diet to make sure they're hitting everything that they need. So let's wrap this up a bit. So how much protein do I think we really need? Well, I think adequate enough is 1.6 grams of protein per kg of body weight, just to make sure that we're getting enough protein to recover well from our training. I think the important thing to get across is what you do in your training matters, and that's going to stimulate the training response that you're looking for. The protein that you're eating is what's going to help you recover faster. Can we eat more than 1.6 grams of protein per kg of body weight on a day-to-day basis? Yep, we can. Will it help drive a greater protein synthesis response? Probably not. Is the quality of the protein that you eat important? Yeah, I'd say so. And making sure we're eating a good quality amount of protein in each meal, spread evenly across the day, for me, is one thing that I think we all need to be very mindful of. I'll put some links in the bottom of this video so you can do some extra reading on this. You can see that what I'm talking about is mindfully thought about, and it's giving you as much of the most evidence-based information that I know of that can help you get better understanding of your nutrition. These videos are deliberately designed not to be sexy in any straight form. They are supposed to be really easy, consumable videos so you can get the right information, so you can go away and put it to practice. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, hit like. Thanks for watching.